Wired for Winning, celebrating the extraordinary minds of those with ADHD. And welcome to Wired for Winning. Every week I get more and more excited with these new episodes, but Wired for Winning has actually come of age today. It's episode 18, and I'm delighted to welcome Adam from the UK, from a county called Staffordshire, which is pretty much in the centre of the UK. For anybody listening outside of UK or Ireland who wouldn't know where that is, Adam was late diagnosed ADHD and has a very interesting story to tell today. So, Adam, I'm just going to do my clapperboard, and you are very welcome to Wired for Winning. Thank you for taking the time. It really is a pleasure. So, let's start off at the beginning, I suppose, in typical ADHD fashion. Let's start off at your diagnosis, because that's what we know. And you said it was a late diagnosis, and maybe we can kind of go backwards and forwards from there, if that's okay with you.
ADHD fashion, I'm probably going to dart around a lot. So,
that's okay.
My diagnosis came about in October last year, 2023. So that was it was a fairly quick. I was quite fortunate, actually. I was diagnosed pretty quickly from going through my referral process, really. So I discovered my key traits, shall we say, from a LinkedIn post in November 2022. Literally a random post I come across from someone I followed, and they were listing through various traits that they had identified as ADHD, and they got diagnosed off the back of, which were carbon copies of things that I'd had challenges with my entire life. I went from like November 2022 to, I think it was February, the following February, when I went to my doctor to say, listen, I think I have ADHD. What's the process? Well, I did like a three month sort of, in my sort of way, analysis, I suppose, of my life and all the sort of things that I'd gone through to try and build a bigger picture, really, all the things that might be associated with ADHD. And then I went to my doctor armed with a list of all of these symptoms. I'm like, this is what I struggle with, and this is everything I've had challenges with from school through adult life. My doctor just turned around and says, yeah, and straight through, it's like 15 minutes, he reassured me, and he put me through on the path to Psychiatry UK I went through for my diagnosis, which is a private side of, but it's NHS funded. So and then I only had to wait about 8-9 months, I think, to get my appointments. So I got diagnosed in October. So textbook ADHD, apparently, according to the psychiatrist I spoke to. So it was a very quick sort of process for me. And I know a lot of people in the UK aren't as fortunate, because there are people who are waiting 2-3 years still, and people waiting longer than that. So I was quite fortunate. It's maybe to do with the location I'm in, potentially, but or I just had a good GP, clearly. So who got me through on the right sort of route, rather than NHS, it was through Right to Choose. So
Somebody recently actually was talking about Right to Choose, because I've lived in Ireland for about 25 years now, and they mentioned that they kind of invoked their right to choose. They lived in London, and to your point, I think maybe in the UK it's a postcode lottery. It's a lottery of the GP that you've got. Do they understand it, and so on and so forth. But it's really nice to hear that you said that. Can I just unpack a couple of things you said there, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
You talk about pre-diagnosis. The reason I set the channel up, as you may be aware, is I was late diagnosed ADHD myself, and I kind of, during that research phase that you had between the October and the February when you went to see the doctor, I had a similar experience where, when I was researching it and I saw a lot of information about people who were likely to end up in prison with ADHD or likely to suicide, and while all those things are definitely true, it wasn't my experience of life, and I kind of felt that, there were a lot of people out there that I respected highly who have ADHD, and I wanted to get that message out to them as well. So not to dismiss the negatives, because there are, and not to dismiss the traits, because there are, but just to unpack them and understand, just going back to that October timeframe where you kind of read the post and you went classic ADHD. What are your traits, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so my typical one is concentration. So I zone out quite easily, especially if I'm bored or tasks are mundane or, I'm just not interested, then I kind of tend to drift away into my own little world, and like I'm thinking about something else, or what's for tea, or what's on TV tonight, those sort of things. The main one ever since I was a kid, like, just get shouted, you need to concentrate, are you listening? So all those little, those little things. And I'm like, what's going on? But the other ones, as I kind of got older, that I kind of picked up on were, and the ones from the post that I'd read, which were the main ones, was to do with, this goes back to when I was in school, but it's around when you were given assignments. It's like, right, you need to go and do this. But I went and did something completely different because I'd heard one thing. I heard it, but my brain kind of told me something completely different. It's like, ha, figure this out, sort of thing, just trying to give me a different message to what I'm actually hearing. So it's, if instructions aren't clear to me, then I kind of misinterpret them and do something different. So it's like, oh, put this plant pot from this table on that table, but I'll just go take it outside or something, I'll put it in the bin. And they're like, that's not what I asked you to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, but that's what I thought he'd said. So
yeah.
So that was the one. Sometimes it feels like I can't understand anything someone says to me. So I've had on occasions, and I do it to my wife now, and she gets really frustrated, is when she goes, can you just do this? Or she says something to me, and I feel like I'm hearing a different language altogether. So I kind of sit and I go, I have no idea what you've said. Can you repeat that? And she'll do that 2 or 3 times, and then she ends up shouting at me. Not shouting, but she kind of speaks loud and clear so that I can hear exactly what she's saying. So that's another one. And that happened frequently through childhood, through adulthood. It still happens now. So so it's just my understanding, I suppose, doesn't always kind of click in. And we have a laugh about it now, in fairness. We do laugh and giggle because I go, I just don't know what you said. And I say it to everyone and just laugh at me. So because they think it's funny. But they understand it. They understand what's going on. And then they go, right, okay, can you just do this? So we've had to adjust, I suppose, how we communicate with each other, I suppose, like with the family, with my wife. And so it's, so they were the main sort of real traits that I picked up on, and 2 of those were from what I discovered on this LinkedIn post. So I always thought it was just me being me, really. Like, I'm not going to stop paying attention, but clearly, I have to say, it's the interest-based nervous system. That's what they say ADHD is, and clearly I wasn't very interested in some of the conversations that were happening, so I just kind of switched off. So
Same.
yeah,
I get that. I get that completely. I'm doing a course in artificial intelligence with a university in Dublin at the moment, and it's online. And there's about 20 people on there. And the guy who's doing the lecture is a lovely guy. And he says, oh, we'll have this discussion about this thing. And everybody gives their input. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's a really good point you raised there. And well done. And he gets around to me and he goes, and there's a big, long pause, which seems to go on for a long time. And he goes, listen, George, that wasn't really what I was getting at. And I get exactly what you're saying, right? It's kind of sometimes it just goes straight over the top of my head. And it's not an intelligence thing. It's an interest-based thing. You're right.
Yeah.
Because when I'm interested, and are you the same? When you're interested, I get it spack on every single time. You know?
Yeah, so my biggest, I'm a big football fan, have been since I was a kid, and like I could tell, if I was having a conversation about football with someone, I'd probably know players of their own team better than they did. So, because I just love it. I've played it all my life. I've done coaching matches when I was younger, and so it's a massive interest of mine. And I could sit and again, I'll talk to my wife about it. She doesn't really care, so she'll switch off and not listen to me. But I could rattle off all these things, talk about different styles of play, those sort of things, and people wouldn't be interested, but I'd be absolutely loving it. So it's just it's an interest based thing, and I do more research around it. So because naturally you just want to explore and learn more about, the things you love. So it's
Yeah.
football was a big part of my life. Playing it and watching it and coaching, and especially younger
Yeah.
anyway. So, but yeah.
Yes, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? How we talk about interest-based activities, and yet for us people with ADHD, we often find ourselves being pushed into areas of our life that we're not interested in. And I don't know about you, but after my diagnosis, I kind of went through a period of time of readjusting everything, where everything I now do, for the most part, I mean, more than 90% is only things I'm interested in, right? And I know you can't do that 100% of your life, and not everybody's fortunate to do that, and we have to certainly sometimes do things we don't want to do. But what I try and do is adjust my life to be as much interest-based as I possibly can, and as much fun as I can. So, Adam, you're fortunate going through the process with the system, the right to choose, Quince, Psychiatry UK, you got your diagnosis. On that day, what happened? Was it an epiphany? Was it, what kind of happened on that day?
What, the day that I realised? What do you mean?
No, the day that the psychiatrist said, "Hey, Adam, you've got ADHD. You're official now. You're certified ADHD.
You're official." Yeah. So I thought about this a few times, and like it was kind of it's like a bittersweet sort of thing. I think other people I've spoken to have said the same thing, but it's like it's made so much sense when I've looked through it, and they're meant to be when I've been told that your textbook ADHD, like, shit, okay. I think I'm not going mad. I've not gone mad, and I'm just dreaming this up. I've actually had challenges with this my entire life, and it's taken me 35 years to kind of find this out really and understand it. So it's like a little bit of grief towards a life what could have been, I suppose, because so many things were impacted by some of the challenges I had, and especially my understanding, my concentration. I have to try and take it from a different perspective now, because I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids, I've got a job that I love, and so maybe all of those sort of challenges I had led me to this point anyway. So would I really want to change that now? It's would I want to change it? I'm like, maybe a little tinge of me kind of goes, what would have happened if if I'd have known when I was a kid, so I always wanted to be a footballer, and I wasn't good enough. I never even pushed myself hard enough to try, but it makes you think, well, maybe if I had the right tools at that point, could I have made something of myself and that? But I mean, I wouldn't have done, because I wasn't that good in that respect. But the thought process is so applicable to a few things really. So.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you as well. I know when I was a fisher, there was a big period of time between, knowing I'd got it from the research I'd done, like yourself, going to see a psychiatrist, getting that diagnosis, and then, realizing, yes, it was. But for me, it was very funny. Well, I never knew, and I kind of just fumbled through life with strange behaviors and emotional ups and downs, and mental ups and downs, and IQ ups and downs, and all sorts, right? Same as what you've just described. And my wife one day, she gave me a book by a lady called Gina Pera, Pera, and it was called "Is It You, Me, or Adult ADHD?" And she handed it to me. She said, "I think you need to read this." And I read it like in true ADHD fashion. And I've probably only read about 20 books in my life, right? And I sat down and I read it from cover to cover in one sitting. And I just went, fuck.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's me. Like your post you read on LinkedIn. Yeah. It was like an explosive moment of,
brain melt.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you don't mind me asking, then you got the diagnosis. You kind of, did you then go for a medication route or not?
Currently, no. I opted against it. Because you kind of go through all the symptoms and side effects, potential side effects, I suppose, from having the medication. At first, I didn't even know which medication they were trying to give me or offer me. I didn't get that far, but yeah, the reason why I didn't is because I can't explain this now. So yeah, I think the side effects were what to kind of put me off having them, because I used to sleep terribly, like literally, because my brain was all over the shop. You know, from the moment I woke up to the moment it finally let me sleep, and so it was 3, 4 in the morning. But as I kind of got older, and I've been able to find ways of managing that a little bit more. Now I go to bed, and as soon as I'm in bed, I'm out like a light. I can sleep, and I'll sleep. And my wife can testify that I sleep really well. So it's I get my solid 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and some of the side effects were it can disturb sleep, and I was like, I really don't want to do that, because it's taken me a long time to get that sort of position, really, where I can go to bed, whether that's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I can get into bed. I can kind of just relax myself and go to sleep. So so I don't want to. Because he said, if you take the medication at the wrong time of day, you could be switched on until stupid o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, well, that's the last thing I want, because I've got 2 kids. So if I'm getting up in the morning, it's going to ruin my sort of mood. And, I didn't want to disrupt that. I've not ruled out having medication by any means. I think my sort of mentality is that I want to try and approach it in a non-medicated way, to see how I can manage these challenges, the symptoms. I've gone 35 years without, so let's see if I can adjust the little things in my life to see if I can make things easier for me. I know people who are on medication and say it's an absolute godsend for them, and fair play if that's the case for some. Rule it out, and I may in the future turn around and say, yeah, I think maybe it's worth me going on here. Whatever I'm doing isn't working, or so. Yeah, at the moment, I've decided to opt against medication, just purely because I didn't want to disrupt my sort of. I suppose, like, from a selfish point of view, I just don't want to disrupt what does work for me. So yeah,
I'm kind of jealous to hear you say that you go to bed and you get 7 or 8 hours a night, because I can't remember a time in my life when I've actually had more than 6, unbroken, unless I've gone out and hammered in the pints, and gone straight like that. Yeah. But just to come on to that then. So you haven't ruled out medication. You've opted away from that at the moment, and there are other things. And I see from your Instagram that you're into the exercise and so on and so forth. Tell us about the other things that you do to kind of manage what you do on a daily basis or whatever.
So the exercise is something I started quite recently, because it's something I've been terrible at. Food I'm terrible with, because I love food and my brain kind of goes, you need to eat more. You need more of this. And it's always the wrong stuff. So I've been trying to make simple adjustments to my day-to-day life. I think more than anything. So I've cut out as much alcohol as I can. Start the pints. I went to the pub on Monday and had one, but I don't go out seeking pint after pint anymore. I don't do that. I did a long enough doing that in me late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, and that was damaging enough for me. But I think for me it's just trying to get a routine. So it's like I have like a morning routine that I do. It's like I get out with the kids and get them ready, and so work from home mainly. So it's a nice little routine that I get up, I get them fed breakfast and all that sort of stuff, and then I'll do like a bit of stretching in the morning. So getting older, and I've had injuries from football, and I've stopped playing now because it's just too much sort of damage to the body. But I do like morning stretching because I just want to try and improve flexibility, mobility, just maintain more than anything. And then I try to go to the gym on the lunch breaks where I can, because I've got a gym just literally 2 minutes down the road. So
fantastic.
I'll go to the gym. Yeah, so I'm quite lucky in that respect. I've got like literally leisure centre, which is just a 2-minute walk down the road. So I just I'll just jot on down there. I'll go for a swim, or I'll go to the gym. Again, I've only started that in the last couple of weeks, so it's just trying to implement new ideas, new routines, just trying to keep my mind kind of going, oh yeah, I'm going to do this today. Try to keep it sort of interested and in going, basically. On top of that, it's just like trying to improve diet. That's the biggest challenge I need to overcome, and it's still one I'm working on, shall we say. So I think I've just got like an aim, I suppose, more than what I'm doing currently. So, it is what I do currently. I focus on mobility, stretching. I do breathing exercises. I like to jump in an ice bath now and then. You might have seen that on my Instagram page as well, if you maybe like to stalk my Instagram page.
I have to research people. I have to research guests coming on. You see, so
I know. I've posted. I don't post too much about it on LinkedIn, but I've done 1 or 2 posts recently about it. But yeah, I do like cold water, so I like jumping in. I just like cold showers, but I did have an ice bath which I broke. So I don't know if you saw that video, but I broke my ice bath by accident. Yeah,
I saw that.
Like a clown. And I had to get rid of it. So I've got a new one coming, so I'm hoping to get back in again soon. But extreme cold water is not for me. Like, especially in the winter snap when it was like 1-2 degrees, I was like, no chance, I can't do that. I was a bit young, that is, but when it's like autumn, spring, and it's getting cooler, then that I find it really sort of beneficial. It helps to improve my mood and my concentration. If you believe what everyone scientists say, apparently it increases your dopamine levels as well, and so there's that natural boost without binging on anything and stuff like that, or drinking loads. Or I do a mix of things, and I'm just still in the middle of figuring out what works best for me in a short way of explaining. So
it's interesting you should say that, actually, because just a comparable life journey. I've actually yesterday, and I haven't actually posted this on any of my socials yesterday, but I have lost 26 kilograms. I know you guys are stone hands and ounces over there.
26 kilos keep going. I know that much.
Yeah, it's nearly 60 pounds since last August. We're now March, and I kind of gone from. I got a bit of a scare with the cholesterol, the blood pressure medications, and statins and stuff like that. And I've got a young kid as well. And I went, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is serious now. And I went off to a company called Randox Health, and they took a urine sample. They did a blood count, a DNA test, and all of that sort of stuff. And I went, right, what do I need to do? And for the first time in my life, after spending 25 years going to Weight Watchers or Slimming World or whatever, or the keto diet or the fucking whatever diet, I kind of went, if you don't do it now, it's going to kill you. It's as simple as that. So I just focused on eating protein, X amount of protein grams per day, and doing the exercise. And to your point, that routine that you mentioned, the one thing with my ADHD is I seek routine, right? I seek the same thing every day, but then I'll go through a destructive period where I'll go, right, that's it, everybody. I'm not having that routine anymore. And I'll destroy the routine, right? Yeah. So now I've kind of got an ADHD coach who says to me, she's brilliant. And she goes, George, if you want to destroy your routine for a week, that's okay. Just come back to it when you seek it out again. So I've got the routine, and the routine works. And then when I decide I'm going to go on a binge or something, and like my binging, my alcohol binging or self-medication went on 20s, 30s, and I'm sorry to say my 40s as well. But but I live in Ireland, so it's kind of a bit of a cultural thing as well, Yeah,
but, of course, yeah.
But just having that routine and talking to other people on the podcast as well. People with ADHD seem to seek this routine, right? This perfection of a routine, and go guilt shame or guilt themselves when they don't stick to it 100% of the time. And I've kind of learned from people who are guests on this podcast and my ADHD coach that actually, if you want to destroy it for a week, that's okay. Go and do that. But you're right about the ice bath. I mean, wow. Is that a dopamine high or what? I mean, that's incredible, I don't think I can afford to buy one, but I mean, you're probably going to tell me they're.
Well, no, it's some of the more sort of exotic setups with your cooler and chillers and stuff. Yeah, they're well out of my price range. I've just got like a simple pod thing that you fill up with water, and I think it's 40 quid. I think I just brought a new one for like 45 quid off it. So
Yeah,
it was certainly not anything expensive anyway.
Okay.
I think the cheapest one I found is like £1,000 or something. So
Right.
£1,100. That's with like a chiller filter system, and I'm like, that's just I can't justify it. I really can't. Like the River Churn just down the road. I can go and jump down there. So like if I want to, so it's 5 minutes walk. So
Okay. Is that popular,
I've not
by
done
the
that
way?
yet, but
No, but is that popular to go down there for people to jump in the river and stuff still, or not?
Wild swimming is quite popular, especially because I'm on the edge of the Peak District. So
Of
and there are
course, yeah.
there are a few little spots around the Peak District which people go to. Again, I was Instagram stalking not too long ago, trying to find some places, and there's one about 20-minute drive away towards Buxton, and yeah, there's like a natural waterfalls and stuff, and yeah, I've not gone to explore yet, but I do want to go to visit some of these spots just to go jumping in. Just to,
yeah.
it's just I suppose it's a little bit more adding a little bit more adventure to what can be like a boring routine life, I suppose. When you work, if you're sleeping and repeating, it's like you want to just do something. Like my brain kind of craves that sort of. I just need to get out of the house and do something. So it's just trying to find something really to go and get out, really. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, it's bizarre you should say that. I don't know if I've shared this with anybody else certainly on the podcast before, but I live in Dublin in Ireland, and sometimes after I've got the kid off to school and the wife's gone to work or whatever, and I'll go, right, what shall I do today? And I've got this kind of, I can feel the brain going like this. Yeah. So I'll grab the laptop and I'll go to the train station in Dublin, and I'll either go down to Cork or I'll go up to Belfast, or there's a ferry from Dublin to Holyhead, right? Mm. And the Wi-Fi's good. I can sit and I'll work on there all day, right? I can do my documents, I can do my emails, I can do Zoom calls or whatever. I can't do the podcast for some reason on the ferry, but the Wi-Fi is good enough anyway. And I'll just do that. And I don't know what it is about being on a train or a ferry, but the fact I'm there is it's not boring. I don't know what it is. Is it stimulation, or what is it about that having to get out and be adventurous?
I don't know. I think it's just I just have moments where I get really frustrated. I just want to be, especially if I've been at home all day. So I'll sort the kids out, and then they go off to school. Grandparents. The youngest is he's not even 2 yet, so he's not nursery or school yet. But so we'll off the grandparents. My wife will go to work like well today, and I kind of think to myself, I'm like, right, what? Like you, I'm like, what can I do that's a bit different? On my lunch break, I can run off out somewhere. Just to kind of get away from my desk and give me some stimulation that I actually need, because I'm just going to flag at some point otherwise. So I'm like similar in that respect. Well, maybe not sitting on a train or a ferry, but I'll just jump in my car and I'll drive off up to the tops and sit overlook the countryside or something like that for 20 minutes just to with coffee and just kind of sit there and go everything happening around me, I suppose, just to
that's the stimulation.
Quiet. Yeah. Sometimes doing nothing is enough stimulation, so for me to get through the day. So
yeah, I agree. It's that visual stimulation, right? And it's also I like that what you're talking about. We've got a similar place here in the Wicklow Mountains, because I know the Peak District quite well because I have family who live there. And up here in the Wicklow Mountains, not far from where I live, is you can drive up, you park the car, and you've got this vista that you can look over.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you kind of, your eyes are darting around and you're going, and you can come away from that, and there's I don't know if it's a dopamine hit or some stimulation or whatever, but I can come home, like you say, and there's something that I have done. And Adam, I don't know if you've seen this recently, but there's a guy in the University of Philadelphia who's done this study that says that the genetic variant that is ADHD, right? Because I think everybody now agrees it's genetic, right? I mean, my father definitely had it. I reckon my son's got it as well, but we haven't gone down that route yet. And he said the research, and they kind of got two groups of people, right? One with ADHD, one without, or neurotypicals or neurodiverse, if you like. And they sent them foraging in two separate groups in forests when berries were on trees, right? And overwhelmingly, the people with ADHD not only collected a larger amount of berries, but they explored a greater geographical area doing so as well. So they didn't hang around so long. They went, oh yeah, bum, 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 bum. Right, next. And from a survival standpoint, apparently, according to this report, and I'll send it to you afterwards if you want to read it, if you compare it to the neurotypicals, not that they're less, but from a survival standpoint, the ADHD traits were good from that perspective, from a survival perspective from eating, but also from a moving around perspective as well. So, like not typically settling, settlers as we'd understand them to be in like the Bronze Age or whatever. But they would kind of move from village to village to, from country to country when they possibly could. And there was an evolutionary reason for it. I think while we live in a phenomenal time, right, the technology, all the AI stuff that's coming and, whether there's problems in the world or whatever, I think what's happened is society has just changed us a little bit so that we kind of feel a little bit imprisoned with our ADHD. That's how I feel sometimes anyway. Tell me, okay, so you got diagnosed, right? You're on your exercise route, you're on your routine route as well. Since diagnosis, how are you finding that in terms of measuring the benefits that those things bring? Are you seeing progress? Are you kind of testing and trialing different things all the time? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I think at the moment it's very much testing and trialing a lot of different things, and I have to be careful not to tinker too much because I run the risk of like probably overwhelming myself with all the different things that I see online, or I'm like, oh yeah, I could try this and I could try that, and then it becomes too much. So I think what I try to do is try to keep a very simple sort of routine. I want to keep it as simple as I can, really. That's the idea. And you always say simple is better and better and all that in that respect. But so certainly from like stretching, I mean, I get my kids involved in that in the morning, so I'm stretching in the morning and they'll jump on my back and, just give me a little bit of added resistance, in there, so I'll do that. I'll try to take, I have like hydration sort of vitamin tablets that I take in the morning as well, in a glass of water, just to get some additional boost that I can get. Eat a little bit healthier, so it's like what you talked about, more protein in my diet, and certainly good for like muscle recovery and all that side of things, and sort of good for weight loss as well in that respect. So I'm just trying to focus a bit more on eating that side of things rather than going to the cupboard where all the biscuits are, and I'm like, oh yeah, dip one and mix a cup of tea and it turns into like a pack, and you're like, so it's just changing the little behaviours, I think, which I'm still kind of making my way through, I think, but certainly from like doing the morning sort of stretching, exercising, breathing, breath work, and all that sort of thing, I find I'm a little bit more calm throughout the day. So when things are a little stressful at work or something's happening at home, I can, I'm not agitated, or I'm not tired, or I can be a little bit more present, I suppose, in the moment where I am at home. Whereas if I don't have a good night's sleep, or if I forget to do something in the morning, if I'm running around rushing, then I can feel a little bit more of a loose end, and I'm a little bit more scatty, I suppose, scatty behaviour. So I can dart from room to room, and I don't exactly know what I'm doing. So because I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing next. So
yeah, I
do see, yeah, exactly. So I do see when I do kind of go, right, I need to do this now, because I won't have time in about half an hour. So let's do this. So I'll do my stretching. That'd be, try to take me vitamin hydration tablets, and then just kind of follow that little pattern to try and keep myself regulated, I suppose, and then I'm ready for the day. Then when they go off to school and to childcare with grandparents, my wife goes to work, then I know I'm right in the right place to begin my day. So because that's when my work day starts. So after all that, it's I have to come into the pressures of work, which I love. I love the job I do and stuff, and I actually quite enjoy it. So I put a post on LinkedIn yesterday about because it keeps me stimulated. So I know that I'm going to come in and I'm going to come on to a new challenge, there'll be a new project, there'll be other projects along which I'm excited to finish. And typically ADHDers struggle to finish projects, but I quite have to try and flip the script and say I'm looking forward to finishing this, and then I know I can get over the finishing line with it. So there's constant stimulation, which is good. So yeah, I do see the benefits in having that routine. And you talked about it earlier on about destroying your routine. That does happen, still happens, and just have to figure it yourself and crack on again, and give it a go the next day, and just keep going. Really, that's all I'm doing at the minute. Just trying new things and
just trying new things.
Yeah.
So, Adam, that's a great segue into the classic ADHD understanding of time, right? And it's classic. It's almost like a cartoon, a couple of cartoon squares. You've got the neurotypical past, present, and future, and then you've got the ADHD now, not now.
Yeah.
Can you describe your perception of time and the stressors that it causes you, or the not stressors? I typically ADHD people are late all the time. I'm annoyingly early all the time because I'm anxious. Tell me about yours.
I'm with you. I'm exactly the same. So I have to be ready to go somewhere an hour before I have to leave, so that I know that I'm not rushing. Because I'll use my kids as an example because it's prime. But 8:30 is the time when they go. My wife takes the eldest kid to school. And I always set a dead mark of like 7:30. We're going upstairs. We're going to do teeth, inhalers, and and getting dressed, getting whatever we need to do, and get everyone ready. And then we're downstairs for like 8 to 10:08, and they can have a chill, and I can just sort the lights out, get it under the pushchair, and then I know we're ready. Chucking shoes on and off they go, sort of thing. And I don't do that at 7:30. It will be 20:08 before I go upstairs with them. Because I'll be doing something. So you get sidetracked, and for me, I lose my concentration. I could sit there and I could be reading something on LinkedIn. I could be commenting and on something, and it's from 7:30 to about 8:15, and I think, and then my brain's kind of exploded, going, "Oh fuck!" And then I'm running around the house trying to do 100 things at once, and then
that's it.
That's it. And
exactly.
And then my son, my eldest son, bless him, he'll turn around and goes, "Daddy, why are you running around the house?" I'm like, "Because I've not done this, and this." Crap. So he's aware of this little routine that I have with him, because he always says, he'll see it on the clock, he'll go, "Daddy, the big handers are on 6," and then I'm like, "Oh, thanks, let's go." And off we go, and we go upstairs, and So that's how I use to describe my sort of perception of time, because I know if I don't do something at the time that I say I'm going to do it, I'm just going to be late. I'm not going to do it. So I'd rather be annoyingly early than stupidly late, because it annoys me being late. I hate being late, and I hate when people are late. So as well. So it's like I expect everyone to be the same as me. But I appreciate that everyone is. But that's how I kind of approach sort of managing time, because I get really anxious if I'm late. So if we go to a dinner or with family or something, then I'm going to my wife, "Are you ready? You've been ready for half an hour. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm waiting for you. Just can we go?" What was it? Yeah, so if you say we need to be there for a certain time, I want to be at least 5 minutes early. So
I'm with you so much there, Adam. I'm going to tell you a story that'll make you laugh now. Here in Ireland, and everybody who's in Ireland listening to this, you know what I'm talking about when I say this. So in Ireland, nobody's ever on time, right? It's a big cultural difference between the UK where we're on time, right? It's a thing. In Ireland, it isn't. And when somebody says, listen, come around at 8 o'clock tonight, what they actually mean is 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
But George's ADHD goes, I tell you what, you said 8 o'clock, I'll be there at 1:45. So when we go for dinner at friends, my wife actually always apologizes for us being early because the cultural expectation is that 8 o'clock actually means 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I go, well, can you just, like, you know me well enough now, can you just say what time you want me to be there, please? And I'll be there 10 minutes early. And if you need to adjust that, that's okay. But it's now or not now. Otherwise, I probably will do something else and end up not coming to yours for dinner because I'm doing something else and it's gone out of my brain. There is just no perception of anything other than what I'm doing right now. I'm glad I found somebody who shares that time anxiety like I do, because you're you're the 18th podcast episode, actually, Adam, and you're the only one so far that shares the same time anxiety that I do. Everybody else is like, oh, Jesus, George, I'm chronically late. I'm terrible. I just go and oh my God, I wish that I wasn't time anxious, but
it's just fucking awful. Because I'm usually the person who just goes, right, I'll definitely be there for 9, and don't give a shit if I turn up 5 minutes late. But I kind of go, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late. Shit. So, and it kind of makes me puts me into a little bit of panic mode, and I end up forgetting things. And I did it last week again. It's all centered around the school run in the morning, but like Wednesdays and Thursdays, so today and tomorrow is my day to take them to school and drop them off at grandparents, because my wife works fairly early in the morning, and I think it was last week, and I'd done what I said I'd done and just kind of left it a bit too late. It was like 10 to 8, and then running upstairs, getting them ready and stuff. And I ended up forgetting the coat, took bag, I put the water bottle on the side and forgot to put it in the car. And, it's that everything goes out the window, and you kind of just start just going, fuck it, I'm going to, and then I had to run back, get everything, and then, go again. So sometimes you just have to give yourself a break and go, shit happens, basically. So just, you can lie to yourself. I'm like, I have to tell myself these things before I start beating yourself up, so I end up forgetting something else. So I just have to try and find a way of resetting myself and going, right, it's happened, can't go for it, let's do it again. Let's go again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm not there yet either, by the way, just so you know. And that's my big thing is the time thing. I wish I could appreciate past, present, and future. I really do. I have a friend. He lives in New York, actually. You may have come across him online from time to time. He also runs a podcast called Faster Than Normal. His name is Peter Shankman, and he's written a book called Faster Than Normal. And he's recently published a book for kids, actually. It's a story about a kid that's faster than normal. And his book is, I don't know, it's at £5 or £6 on Amazon or something. There's a few things in there. He takes a very different view because he's got his own ADHD, right? He happens to be quite successful. He's bought and sold, set up and sold a couple of companies. And now all he does is he runs he goes and does public speaking in different places around the world about marketing, not about ADHD. With a podcast, he gets scientists on and researchers, stuff like that, which is great. But his management of time or his outward portrayal of time is very interesting. But also, you'll see him post stuff when he's up and functioning and like going crazy, and he'll be interviewed maybe on CNN in the States, and he'll be on an airplane writing a book or something. And then the next thing, you'll see him lying face down on a couch somewhere going, that's it. There's nothing coming out. It's not happening. Yeah. And I really respect that, because for the longest time, I was only able to show the world when I was here, right? To be able, when I was on full form, able to socialize and be kind of, eloquent and sociable. Now what I've started to do is to show the world what I'm like underneath the iceberg, and go, I'm laying on the sofa for the afternoon because I can't actually be bothered to do anything because the brain's overwhelming me and the world's overwhelming me. I'm sorry about that,
Yeah.
but that's just me, you know. And I've spoken to him a few times about that, where he goes, just that's you. You can't be on full form every day of the week, right? You have these crashes. I do. Other people do with ADHD. People without ADHD have that, you know. That's okay. Just be kind to yourself. And I kind of respect that. But yeah, to your point, I still don't get time. And I have my timer here and I set it and I go, and shit, was that an hour that went by? What happened there?
Yeah.
You know?
That's it.
And if that didn't ring, that would it. It'd be game over. I'd forget to pick my son up from school. I'd forget, you know? And I have, and and you might have done as well. I don't know. So it's like, you know,
Really forgotten. I've not basically been late to such, but I've kind of gone, shit, is that the time? And that's I like to dart off quickly. So yeah, certainly in that position. But I was going to say something, but I've completely forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay. If it comes back,
I'll circle back. So,
just interrupt me, right? I'll kind of jump on and interrupt me if it comes back into your head. You got it?
It was just to talk about burnout because I think I posted a couple of things recently about it because saying with what you were just saying there, it's like very much like an ebb and flow. You gotta go, you're pretty much on top form, and I have days where I'm like, I started with it off my state, and before I even realised it's 5 o'clock, I'm like, what's the day gone? But the moment I kind of stopped to realise what time it is, my body's just kind of gone, like, I can't do this. I'm burnt. I'm so exhausted. Like, and I have these conversations. My wife is very much like a physical job. She works in a cafe and stuff, so she's running around all day. And I'm sat at a desk most of the day, and pretty elemental meetings and whatever work I'm doing. And when we both turn around and say we're exhausted, we kind of sometimes don't appreciate like the fact that the jobs are different, but they might have the same results in each other. Physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, can feel exactly the same. But for me, it's happened both. Doing playing sports for so many years, and I certainly feel like it feels very similar. And in sort of the sort of down periods you get from it. So burnout's horrendous, and sometimes it can take a long time to get out of it unless you can find a way of. And this is why I go back to try and go to a routine and try and get back, build myself back up again. Maybe not to full form, but to get myself to like 60 to 70%, just enough to to kind of get myself through the day, do what I need to do, and then still be functioning in the evening. To have a conversation with my wife, and sometimes that's difficult. And so, truth, I'm just so tired. I just don't want to talk. I just want to sit there quiet and just let me recharge. I need to recharge. So most of the time, like I say, we operate around 60-70%, and then on the days where you're like 80-90%, I'm kind of buzzing all over the place and like a different person, and like bouncing and dancing and laughing my head off, and then I can just start switching to a grumpy old son probably, but so in the view of others, but it's just very much up and down. It's exhausting thinking about it, because I suppose like involving as much as it does experiencing it. So
it's very interesting you should say that, because it's those days when I medicate, right? So I don't take medication for ADHD every single day, because, and I kind of repeat this a lot, but I feel it's an important message for people out there with ADHD who resonate with our type of ADHD, and there are many different types. But on those days when I'm here, my IQ's really high, right? I can function, I'm buzzing, I can take on anything. I mean, literally anything work-wise, and it's great. And if on those days I was to take medication, it would bring me to here, and I don't want that, right? Because I kind of like it here. And then tomorrow, and I don't know if tomorrow's going to be one of these days or one of these days. No idea, right? But I can tell you within 5 minutes of waking up and getting out of bed whether I'm going to be here or here. And on these days, and I've said this before, I can't even, and I don't mind showing my vulnerability here, I can't read properly because it's not going in. my eyes are darting over the page, on the text, the emails, or whatever. I can't think properly. I can't even do simple maths. On those days, I take medication because it takes me to there and allows me to function
Yeah.
in my job, in with people, sociably, and stuff like that. And those are the only days now. Someone said to me recently, how many days a month is that? And I said, I don't know, because one month it could be 2 days or it could be 20 days. I don't know. So on any given day, I know, and I'm not, at weekends, I don't take medication, whether I'm up or down, right? I just don't do it because I like to have a break from it. Because like you said, the effects and the long-term effects and so on and so forth. But I'm fortunate that the highs, and I call them highs, they're not highs as in I'm high, from an alcohol or a drug perspective.
Yeah.
I'm capable is the good word to use, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great high functioning, spot on.
Yeah.
High functioning is the word, So it's really important to kind of resonate on that. So, talking about since your diagnosis, you're very active on the socials. I saw that, and that's how we kind of came into contact through mutual people that we know. I personally find those LinkedIn networks very good to talk to people and just listen to what they're saying and add a little bit back into the community as well. Tell me, you're quite active in that as well. Is there any other aspect of your ADHD tribe, if you like, that you have that helps at all? Do you have friends with ADHD or, colleagues or,
Yeah, so I think a lot of the people I'm associated with when it comes to ADHD is through LinkedIn mainly. So I don't know too many people with ADHD. A close friend of mine is suspected to have it, but he's not been diagnosed. I've not spoken to him for a few weeks, so I've not heard the latest on that, but he's suspected to have it, but we've been best friends since we were like 18, so it's like but you always say like people with ADHD seem to connect really well with each other really easily, because I think it's to do with a lot of empathy and I suppose I remember reading something, I can't remember what it was, but it's to do with like the empathy that you have within your ADHD, and it explained this to a while ago, and said, because I was waiting to be diagnosed, he was waiting to be diagnosed, and I said, well, if we both have ADHD, I'm sure that's the reason why we're friends. And he goes, because we always hug each other, we're very sort of like, sort of very much embrace each other, we'll have a hug and we'll go have a drink, and, we tell each other we love each other, and all that sort of stuff. And, very, very sort of close with one another, and that's how I gauge my sort of connections with people on LinkedIn. So there's one or two people I've started, I've got good connections with. We swap mobile numbers and we talk to. I'll make a joke about. He was talking about post yesterday saying, how do you greet people if you've never met them before? And I just turned around and said, I've never met you, but I'm going to jump straight into your arms if I ever see you. So things like that, because that's that sort of connection you build over like a small period of time. So But yeah, a lot of my connections are through LinkedIn. So and as you say, I'm mostly active on there. Not a little bit active on Instagram. Not been for a while. Off from a couple of videos, but mainly LinkedIn as my sort of outlet, and that's where I do a lot of my sort of sharing of my experiences and engaging a lot with people in my sort of network. So if that's over DMs or in my comments, I'm very, very much active on there, and I'm always open to making more connections with people with ADHD, autism. It's it's such a big network of people, and so many people can resonate with each other's stories, and I find that is my outlet really. So to kind of sharing my experiences, and rather than kind of keeping it to myself and kind of going, oh yeah, I don't want to share anything like that. I've got ADHD, I'll deal with it. And this is what I've gone through. These are the experiences I've had, and this is what I've been struggling with on this day or that day, or what I've achieved on these days, and people resonate with it, or if you don't, if you want to interact with me, then great. So, but yeah, it's mostly LinkedIn. That kind of do my sort of networking.
Yeah, I'm the same as you actually. I have to say I've learned a lot from people on LinkedIn. That my therapy is this podcast, right?
Yeah,
When I meet somebody like yourself and I read what you're saying, I kind of want to talk to you or to somebody else. And what I found is over the last 6 doing this is that I've just learned a lot that actually I'm not the only one who's got, right? I'm not ashamed of it. I'm happy to be open about it. It's not, there's nothing bad about it at all. It's, it's what I call the ADHD tax, right? There's things
yeah.
like that happen. It's okay. It's not okay. That happened. Yeah, left my coffee mug on top of the car and drove down the road and went round a corner and
Oh,
lost
yeah,
that
dude.
coffee cup. And the daily key losing thing and having to have those tiles on my keys and where you go, oh fuck, where's that? Oh, there it is, and the whole house is searching for the car keys, right? And stuff like that. And
that's my car key. So this little thing doesn't attach to my keys, so I lose it all the time. So it stays on my desk. But it stays on my desk and then I forget that it's on my desk and I end up doing the exact same thing you do. I'm searching all the drawers. I'm like, where the fuck do I put my car key? And it's either sometimes in my pocket, in my shorts. So I'm just taking them off and, in the evening. And then I've left them in my shorts or it's dropped down the side of the sideboard where I keep it. So it's a constant sort of like, fuck, it's fine. Where is it? So, yeah, especially when I'm in a rush to get out of the house. I'm like, where is it?
Oh, it's always that, isn't it? Yeah, where is it? Yeah. Where is it? Tell me this. When you kind of started off, one of the questions I always ask people in the different countries they live in is the system, the health service, the psychiatry service, and your experience is really positive. And I'm really pleased to hear that actually, because it's a good thing to hear, both sides, the bad experiences and the good experiences. And I think on balance, it's been about 50-50, as far as good and bad. And I think that's a good mix of the story to tell. But just moving on to society there in the UK, right? And I know society is a really funny word, but, that empathy that you mentioned, I know that when I meet somebody, if they've got ADHD, I know that I'm going to be really good friends with them, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a thing. And I'll make friends with other people as well, but the deeper connections are those with ADHD. Here in Ireland, the societal view of ADHD, up until quite recently, was kind of, it doesn't exist. It's not there. And I remember moving house. I told this story a few times and going to changing GPs and going, hey, by the way, can I get a prescription for medication? And I was told flatly, no, I don't do that. Right. And I said, okay, I'm not going to have an argument about the diagnosis from a psychiatrist. And there's the letter. And I'll go back to my previous GP because I'm not really bothered. In the workplace, the acceptance around having ADHD, I'm very open about that in workplaces and in my professional life as well. I share that openly. I don't get much trolling online at all. From the podcast, there's been a couple of comments about a couple of guests, but that's fine too. But nothing at all major. Certainly in my peer group, there's nothing but support. In my extended professional life, there's nothing but support. To the best of my knowledge anyway, and I feel very happy that I can be open and honest and vulnerable, if you like, about what it is. And, I don't see it as a disability. I really do see it as a success, right? I wouldn't want to be without it. But in your world, what's your experience of the societal view of ADHD and you and your peer group and your professional life and so on and so forth? How does that work for you?
From a career aspect, my workplace has been amazing. Like, I can't fault them, and I believe there are a few people in my company that have got ADHD themselves. I don't actually know who. Maybe they've had it since childhood or been late diagnosed and kept it themselves. I don't know. But I'm just quite an open book in that respect. But yeah, so I think from a workplace side of things, yeah, it's definitely sort of accepted, decent ways to, my HR manager has been like brilliant. My line manager's been brilliant. In fairness, I'm a little bit unorthodox in the way I've kind of told them about it because it's all done through LinkedIn. So I didn't really kind of sit down with them and say, I didn't sit down with them and say, listen, I've just been diagnosed with ADHD, or I'm going to get a diagnosis. I get a message saying, I've seen a post on LinkedIn. Can we have a chat about it? I was like, all right, cool. You tell me which one it is so that I don't start panicking. And then they'll go, you just want to check if there's anything you need from us to, what do you need? Any sort of provisions to support or flexibility with working and stuff, which I already kind of get in a way with with my boys, just with the school runs in the morning and stuff. I can work a little earlier, work a little later if I wish. So you've already given me that sort of flexibility, which I think is great, and I'm really appreciative of that sort of support. I think from a personal outside of work, it's a bit older there in the 70s, they don't really understand it that much. So you don't really talk too much about it. For me, at least I try to want to talk to them about it, but I don't because I feel like I'm having to justify or explain the way I am, not in a negative sort of way. It's just they just don't. They grew up for a time where it didn't really exist for them, so they just don't understand it, and we don't really talk about it that much, to be honest. So it doesn't affect our relationship. I'm not a very the loving parents and loving family, and and they accept who I am as I am, and even if they don't understand it fully, really what it is, but yeah, it needs just to touch on, you made mention about comments on posts and stuff. I've had maybe a few comments where they've kind of, I put a post on where I know it's been a little bit not controversial, but I know it's probably going to flag a few people. I just for responses. So I think I've made a couple of posts about saying ADHD is not a superpower. Like I've made 1 or 2 posts about that over the last 6 months, and people are like, "Oh, it is a superpower for me," and all this, and I think that's great. It's brilliant, but I think I just try to keep it a little bit more. A bit more perspective on it. It's like that. Yeah, it can be it can be an absolute strength if you lean right into it. Well, you touched on it there about a friend of yours in New York who can be 100%, and like, yes, it's a superpower, but then you're dead to the world for like a month because you just can't function anymore. So it's just that understanding, and some people are a little bit like, oh yeah, it's actually just a little bit sort of naive, or there's ableist comments and stuff about it. But I get the DM saying, "Oh, I think people use it as an excuse and all this," and I just ignore it and kind of carry on. So I think like it's very much a mixed bag still in terms of how society's accepting it. Workplaces, I think, are getting better with it. Certainly from my experience, anyway. But I think from a societal side of things, there's still a way to go. And I know there's more people coming out talking about it, and you got all your influencers on Instagram and LinkedIn who are posting silly videos about ADHD, which I don't always agree with, because I think it kind of hyperinflates what it actually is and everything that kind of goes with it. But yeah, it's making strides. I think it's getting better, and not for everyone. I appreciate, because everyone's got a different experience of it, but yeah, for me, I think that's how I sort of view
it. So it's interesting to hear, the societal view of it. I'm fascinated by that, and I've got kind of a couple more questions actually before we wrap this session up. And I kind of learned a lot. And by the way, I'm just going to bounce back to the time anxiety thing. I'm so delighted that you have the same time anxiety. And I know I've probably repeated that about 10 times, but thank you for sharing that. I feel validated that my own time anxiety is there too,
It's not just you.
Oh, no, there are many others. I just haven't found them yet, right? That's the thing. Regarding, this is a question that's only recently come up, and I'm fascinated by people's responses to it. And it's this word rumination, right? And previously it was applied to the thought of people who suffer from, say, depression or other, what I call temporary mental neurodiversities, if you like, and stuff like that. And the thinking is, and again, this is just somebody's theory, but if you sit down every day and you go, I'm depressed, and you do that repeatedly, and you're kind of like a pig rolling in shit, right? Excuse the curt expression. And you're ruminating in that bubble of, rather than sitting with it, accepting it, and knowing that you're in hell, and if you keep going, you'll get out the other side, right? And I was talking to somebody the other day. He said, okay, look, ADHD, George, is a neurological condition. We know the way that the brain develops, the frontal cortex, and the way the blood flows through it, and it's genetic and it's lifelong and all of that sort of good stuff, right? But George, if you ruminate in this thing called ADHD and you do nothing about it but talk about it all the time, and that's it for you in your life, right? Then you are going to perpetuate that, and you're going to kind of exacerbate it. Right. And spend less time doing what you do really well, right? And I wasn't positive or negative about that, because the way the story was told to me was a real kind of eye-opener about what strategies, what takeaways do you take personally, right? What strategies do you use to live your best life? And I think we all want to do that. And I by the way, I don't know the answer to the rumination thing with regard to ADHD. But I did take on board the thought of, if I do nothing but talk about ADHD all day, every day, and do nothing else, is that positive or negative? Well, maybe I'm learning, but maybe I'm kind of missing something over there as well. I don't know. I just wanted to pose that question to you, right? Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. Right. It's okay if you'll come back in a sec. You're back. Sorry, it's okay. It's okay. This happens sometimes. The software will fix it. Did you catch the end of the question? I just wanted to get your view on rumination.
Catch the end of the question now. But I think it's a good point just around talking about ADHD all the time. You can get stuck in that sort of bubble of that's all you ever talk about. I do most of my talking on LinkedIn about it. I don't generally talk about it outside as such. I try to keep a balance of it, really. So it'll be like everyday things that I experience, and I'll go, oh, that's interesting. Well, I'll never really say anything about it, and I'll just kind of post about it, I suppose. But a lot of people I connect with, I don't just talk about ADHD with them. I'll say, we'll have actual normal conversations. And I'll go, oh yeah, sorry, it's just my brain kind of going funny. Don't worry, you can make like light touch references to it, but so I understand the perspective that if you that's all you talk about, then yes, that you'll be kind of in that sort of position all the time, or in that mindset. But it can be tiring just talking about that one thing all the time. So I try not to, and just try to focus that more around the content I put onto LinkedIn. So I'll only put like one post on maybe 3 out of 5 days a week or something. Some days it'll be Monday to Friday or whatever, depending on what's kind of circulating around in my head. But I try not to let it be the be-all and end-all of my life, I suppose. Like, yes, I have ADHD, but it's not all I am. It's so much more to me than just what I've got as a sort of diagnosis. But so
I think that's a great way of putting it.
Things separate.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of doing it. And actually, I like the fact that you kind of limit it to your LinkedIn family or tribe, if you like, and then everything else outside of it isn't. Adam, I've got one more question for you, right? And it's a question I always ask at the end of episodes. And by the way, I just want to say thank you. It's been a delight to meet you and have a chat about this. And if you come on again on another episode and maybe I'll bring another person on and we kind of have a kind of a round table conversation if you'd be comfortable definitely. With that.
Yeah.
Just as a matter of interest, and it is that magic click my fingers moment. If I could take it away from you, this thing called ADHD, right? Would you want that or not?
I think I would, to be honest, because I think a lot of the best things about me are a result of that. So, like, I can be quite a spontaneous or like spontaneously sort of creative sort of person, I suppose. Like, so I'll go, right, let's go do this, or albeit not very often, but I think it attributes to like a lot of the sort of the kid in me, I suppose. Like, I'm very much energetic, and I'll be like wanting to play with the kids, so I'll mess around and I'll annoy the wife. She probably loves it, but I'm just very playful, and I feel like that if that was to be taken away from me, I feel like I'd lose a part of who I am. So as much as I felt like I've had challenges with it, I don't think I'd go without it, because I think it, I don't know who would be without it. So so I kind of accept that it's part of me, and I wouldn't want to change it, because I think it just makes me who I am, and whether that's hilarious or I'm a miserable git, I don't know. It's one or the other, but so I don't think I'd change it.
I share it, actually. I share the thought. And there's a lady, I don't know do you know Katie Friedman? Have you come across her on LinkedIn?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, she was on a previous episode with me. She's got a business partner down in New Zealand, Adam, not Adam, I get the gentleman's name now, but Katie gives her ADHD a name, right? And she calls her ADHD Tigger. And you see her face change. And you know that bit where you go,
like that name.
Yeah, and she goes, but you see her face change. You know when we go into that mischievous moment, the ADHD mischief, as we call, I just saw you change.
Yeah,
your face went mischievous, right? And she's like, and she calls it Tigger. Hold on, I'll wait for you to come back. Oh, you're back
now.
And she calls this, and I saw her face trigger, and she's got this glint in her eye, and she goes, Tigger's here. And I just love that. I think it's wonderful.
Oh, yes. For it now. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to find a name.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm mischievous. Yeah, I'm massively mischievous. So, like, I'll try my best to play pranks and stuff to try and lighten the mood. It doesn't always land very well, but I do it. So just try to crack a joke now and then. But...
Me too. I had a personality test done a couple of years ago, and I forget what it was called actually, but it wasn't the standard personality test, and it came out as 90% mischievous, right? Which is kind of like 50% more than the average, apparently. And it was, one of those things. Listen, Adam, thank you so much for today. I've really loved this episode. Thank you again. And it really has been lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you. Thank you.